The better you are at putting your documentation together neatly, cleanly, accurately, submitted on time, it all is progress toward productivity, which then in return gets you paid more.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by Unlocking Greatness with Jacob Emery, a coaching community built for those ready to become the strongest version of themselves. Weekly calls, proven playbooks, and a community built to grow. Greatness is not given, it's unlocked. Join us today at jacobemery.com or DM coach at jacobemery44 on all social media platforms. I remember being in the field at R&R Pipeline, and as a crew leader, something I struggled with was my documentation. My paperwork wasn't very organized, still not very organized today, but I didn't realize that paperwork is not just for back office or administrative team, it's production. It's a production tool. For a crew leader, for a foreman, not having accuracy with your paperwork, with what your expectations are, not having timely, it's kind of like impacting your paycheck. What if you wrote down 10 hours that you worked today and you got paid for 8? Probably wouldn't sit well, probably wouldn't enjoy that very much, probably wouldn't like it when you see your paycheck. The same can be said for the company side. Your paperwork and how you do your paperwork, the accuracy, the timeliness of it, it all is a direct correlation to your paycheck. The better you are at putting your documentation together neatly, cleanly, accurately, submitted on time, it all is progress toward productivity, which then in return gets you paid more. Every mistake that you make on your submission creates more work for other people or for yourself, which creates delays. Timely decisions that need to be made might not be able to be made. It hides true performance also. You might be the best performing crew leader, but if your documentation doesn't say so, is it really true? If you're in the court of law, documentation is everything to defend yourself. So when you look at your paperwork, look at it like your paycheck. The timeliness and the accuracy means a lot for both, but it takes the paperwork submission to make that paycheck. It takes both. So if you think about the paperwork from that side of it, treat it like your paycheck. You want your paycheck to be there every other week, whenever your payroll run is. You want it to be there timely. Make sure your paperwork's done too, timely. You want your paycheck to have the right amount of money in it for what should be there, the right tax brackets coming out, all the different things that need to be taken out of your paycheck. You don't want to be paying extra for no reason. You want it to be accurate. Think about your paperwork the same way. When you treat your paperwork casually, then you're going to get casual documentation that's submitted, and you're also going to get casual value added for yourself. Profits leak silently on the lack of productivity that's documented. Doesn't mean that it's not done. It means that the paperwork doesn't show the proof that you actually did it. So on projects, if you have two different foremans with nearly the same exact scope of work, the same crew size, similar conditions, two projects that are very close, if one foreman treats the daily reports as an afterthought, where they don't really put the quantities in right, they kind of wait till the last minute of the week, they might not report timely throughout the week, so it's I scribble it down, I rush at the last minute, I pencil whip what I have to have done, and I'm not taking real clear notes. Whenever you don't put it in at that time and you try to go back and redo it, it makes it so much harder, and you're going to forget stuff, which slows down progress, which slows down the updates, which slows down the ability to make decisions for that project. You might have high productivity, but if it's not entered right, then you can't see that it's actually done. So someone might assume that the crew's behind. They're just underperforming on the reporting side, not actually on the performance side of the scope. Every step not entered, every oversight that's not added in, it's going to hinder you. Progress will not be showcased for what it is if it's not documented appropriately. You take another job site where every day the foreman puts that paperwork in accurately, timely. Everyone knows where the job's at. The crew is up to date, up to speed. The quantities are measured appropriately. The production targets are there and set. Delays are not an issue because documentation is real time. It's daily when it's supposed to. This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by R&R Pipeline Inc., an infrastructure company. Join our team today at rrpipelineinc.com. You're more than likely going to be more organized, where you're going to have the right material on site, you're going to have the right people on site, you're going to have the right things laid out ahead of time. Because you're organized on the daily entry, you're probably working ahead on the weekly layout. You don't need manager's oversight as much because you're already in charge of that job. You're already taking ownership of that project. Management might help you adjust on the higher level stuff, but for the most part, you are running that project the way that it needs to be ran because everybody can see it. Everybody knows. So that crew is probably going to finish when they're supposed to, and there's not going to be any question about it. Where if you're not doing it right, the crew is going to finish when they finish, but no one else is going to know about it, which creates downstream issues. Same type of work, different outcomes, different progress, different ability to manage that project, which all affects your paycheck. Accuracy and timeliness affect everything. So the paperwork, the submission of what you document, it does a lot, but primarily it does these four things. It eliminates rework. Accurate quantities and notes prevent any disputes on an invoice, disputes on a billing, any disputes on a scope of work. Redo work is an absolute killer. So it eliminates that because you have documented what you did the first time, so you never have to go back. It reduces downtime. If you have any constraints on the job site, leadership can fix the problems instead of just guessing. You have the downtime documented if there is any, but for the most part, you don't have that much because you're logging whatever downtime would be occurring, but ultimately, you don't have to worry about it because everything is up to speed and you're not guessing. It increases the progress of the job site. The data shows exactly where you're at, what's left to be done, and then you have better support from management because they have a clear lens of your project. If you're not accurate, if you're waiting to get something put in, hurry up and wait. You need the data to know where the progress is at, how to report it, what resources may or may not be needed, what material, what equipment, what manpower. So opinions do not matter when it comes to these things if you don't have the data in place. It's not about opinions. It's not about assumptions. Lead with the data first. What is fact? And then put in what you know to be true from experience from there. Last but not least, it builds credibility and capability. When you understand how to do the documentation side, you start to understand the back office part. You start to understand the bigger picture of what is going on an entire job scope. And then you step out a layer and it's entire customer scope, multiple job sites across the board. Accurate paperwork turns a foreman into a trusted leader. And that trusted leader then has the opportunity to progress because they get the bigger picture. And they are always looking for support of others. And they're not under scrutiny because they're doing what they're supposed to do, just like they expect in their paycheck. The bottom line is paperwork is the foreman's documentation. It is the CYA documentation that you need. Cover your ass. Paperwork is the ability to put together what you have done accurately and timely so there is no guesswork. It keeps everything much smoother and way simpler because at the end of the day, the jobs are progressing along. If you're not documenting it, you're the only one that knows. How do you really know if it's not put in the way it should be? If you expect a paycheck to be put in, if you can submit your time every day accurately, why can't you submit the rest? Treat the paperwork that you do daily like your paycheck, and your paycheck will start to grow. I promise you that. Every day, write down all the things you do. Documentation and communication are the two biggest skills I think that you could have as any type of leader in any type of industry. Document your progress, communicate your progress, do both frequently. Over document and over communicate, and I promise things will come together. But if you don't do it, things will fall apart eventually. Documentation and communication, two huge assets, but the skill of documentation is so simple and overlooked. But if you don't write it down, you're more than likely going to forget. So write this down. If you don't write it down, you're probably going to forget. Document everything and miss nothing. Don't document, expect to be missing a lot. It's going to lead to frustration. It's going to lead to a lack of progress to showcase. And at the end of the day, if you can treat your paycheck with accuracy, with timeliness, why can't you do your paperwork? Your paperwork should be treated like your paycheck and watch your paycheck grow. Stop telling yourself one day. It isn't about one day, it's about day one. Today should be your day one. What you need isn't another day. What you need is clarity with the community to give you confidence to unlock your greatness. That's what the group coaching program is all about. Confidence, clarity, via commitment. Hit the show link in the notes. Let's start unlocking your greatness now, today.